Welcome to our online event, Ching, 7 Steps to Successful Negotiation, featuring career and business expert and also co-founder of Six Figure Start, Caroline Ceniza-Levine. Over 40 Females is a nationally acclaimed live and online networking community, as you know as members, over40females.com, specifically tailored for women over the age of 40 that speaks to women in transition, whether we're learning about financial issues to help us get set up for retirement, figuring out how or when to, or where to get a divorce, unraveling social media secrets, collaborating with each other to help one another, or simply how to teach you to further yourselves or your careers, as in today's event, and we are all in this together. So spread the words to your friends, because the bigger we get, the more we can do for you. We currently have 20 Connect Live chapters nationwide, growing more each day. And each one of them have exciting powerhouse events monthly. And we are now proud to say that we are bringing you this thrilling experience online, just like this teleseminar. Please go and log into the website after this teleseminar or later today and take advantage of it. Fill out your profiles. We're always selecting members from what they write in their profiles, especially in the About Me box. And we present them for TV segments, press features, website features, our future best-selling book you could be in, and start firing up your blogs. You get your own blog that we've provided there and for you and for each and every one of you. So if you don't have a website, by the way, this is a priceless tool for you to promote your business and increase your website presence exponentially. Okay, your own blogs, photo galleries, and every social media account, every one, I said, can be inputted into your profile. So you don't have to sign in and out of LinkedIn, in and out of Facebook, in and out of Twitter. You get the point. We have videos to help you, and we will help you promote yourselves. Okay, so get organized for your business and careers. We are also looking for those of you who need jobs or you want to post jobs in your resume. We have so many things and so many features on the site, so please go in there and check it out. All right, now that I know the very next thing after this teleseminar you're going to do is log into your over40females.com account, I would like to show you the latest press we got about a week ago with famed anchor Ernie Anastas from Fox New York talking about the domestic violence issue. We are out there and intending on getting you out there also with us. Another way to get your story or business promoted, What Women Want Talk Radio, with over 4,000 downloads just last month, our 4th month in business. Every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, what you want to hear. We just had a show last Sunday with Dr. Kathleen Ruddy, a woman who has discovered a new development in preventing breast cancer through vaccine. So that was really exciting. And we also have co-host Helen Powers. So if you guys want to pitch anything for the show, please email whatwomenwantshow@gmail.com. Email is right there on the slide. Okay, we're constantly getting our members out there and noticed and in the press, and this time it was a member from New York City, Jerry Stengel. A couple of months ago, we booked Julia Klein from Chicago for her own segment, and also last month, Helen Powers from Connecticut was booked on our own segment. Members are constantly getting press from us, so it's very exciting. Oh, by the way, I am Judy Goss, the founder of Over 40 Females, and I started this company 3 years ago, and my background comes from having been an editor at More and Cosmopolitan magazines, and also More's national TV spokesperson for almost 2 years. I've been on countless TV segments across the country, with both More magazine as a lifestyle expert and women's advocate. From CBS Early Show to Good Morning America, I have been on them all, and I am also a published author with St. Martin's Press, a TV host, and was even an internet marketing consultant for a website at one point with over 1 million members. This event tonight will be just like the one thousands of women are attending across the country every month at our Connect Live events to enhance themselves spiritually, mentally, and physically. With expert guest speakers, unique raffle prizes, personal member introductions from Over 40 Females members who have reserved a spot to highlight themselves and the support of women all over the world. Okay, so we have our locations of our chapters on the screen right now. These are the states that we have chapters in. Some of them have multiple chapters. We're currently opening 3 to 4 months. So if you want to attend events in person, please go to our website and click under the locations tab. I believe it's in the Connect Live tab. And go to the community calendar. You can find our locations there. Okay, we can't do it without you. After our guest speaker is through, we're going to select highlight select members from our website. Okay, check out this profile. This is just exactly what you get. One of the things that you get when you sign up on our website. You as members have this. Just like I said, go and log in and go in there and add your connections and beef up your profiles. So we have everything right here on this teleseminar that we have at the events in person, everything but the wine. Someday maybe we'll figure that out also. Okay, our raffle for this evening is Looky Loos. Looky Loos reading glasses that double as a headband. As seen on TV, the Huffington Post, People's Style Watch, and more, these glasses go anywhere with you and act as a headband when you're not using them. I sure love that. I hate my hair on my eyes when I'm trying to do anything. Okay, and we have now also Rita Cosby's book, a copy of the book Quiet Hero by Emmy Award-winning TV host and best-selling author Rita Cosby. She was also a keynote speaker at our Inspiration Summit for Connecticut State. And now I'd like to introduce special guest speaker Caroline Ceniza-Levine to the call right now so we can get on with negotiating your way more effectively. Caroline Ceniza-Levine is a career and business expert, author, speaker, and co-founder of Six Figure Start. Caroline specializes in career change, from one career to a new one, from employee to entrepreneur, from manager to leader, and she has worked with executives from American Express, Citigroup, Condé Nast, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, and other leading firms. Caroline is a repeat guest on CBS, CNN, and Fox Business, and has been quoted in Businessweek, Entrepreneur Magazine, Fortune, Money, Real Simple, and Success magazines. Caroline is a career contributor for Forbes.com and teaches professional development and negotiation courses at Columbia University. In 2010, Caroline received a grant from the Jones New York Empowerment Fund for her work with women over 40. She's also a stand-up comic. So she's not your typical coach. Absolutely not. And Caroline, welcome to our teleseminar, and thank you for having this with us here today. Caroline, take it away.
Yeah, so the first question that I would want to ask people is to think about what is your most pressing question about negotiation. So what is it that brought you to this webinar? You read the description about it, and there was obviously something that resonated with you, either that you have an upcoming negotiation with a prospective client, with a prospective employer, or that you perhaps, I don't know, just want to learn this skill. So I would think about what that question is, because we're going to have time for Q&A, and maybe write that down. It'll also give you something to look into as I start going through the material, and you can start thinking about, okay, is my question being answered? Do I have a follow-up question? It's just very helpful to guide the presentation. So what we're going to talk about tonight is an overview of negotiation. We're going to talk about a three-part framework for negotiation, because a lot of people think of negotiation as a single point in time, as that conversation with the prospective employer or with the prospective client. And really what negotiation is has three parts, and it's a process. And then we're specifically going to talk about 7 steps that you can take to prepare for your next negotiation so that it is going to be better than you expected, and that you can hopefully get what you want. And then we're going to talk about ways to practice every day, because let's face it, we're not always going to have a high-stakes negotiation, and the best way to get comfortable with negotiation is to do it all the time. So what are some of the things that we can do on a daily basis or on a regular basis so that when it happens in an actual negotiation situation, it will feel like old hat, or at least older hat? Okay, so I put up a slide with my picture so that you would feel like I'm talking to you and also get to know me a little bit. And I also put up a slide that has pictures of the various outlets that I'm associated with. So, the Forbes logo and a cover of my book and the Fox logo. And with all of these places, I've actually talked about negotiation. There's that much to talk about when it comes to negotiation. In fact, in the current issue of Money Magazine, I'm quoted in there talking about how to tell your boss that you have too much work without sounding like a slacker. That's what the article is about. And that really is all about negotiation, if you think about it. So it's a nice segue into really, my next set of points, which is, what is negotiation? Now, a lot of people will say, I put up a bunch of definitions from negotiation just lifted right out of the dictionary, and you can see there, I'm not going to read up the slide, process where interested party resolve disputes, right? So you'll see that a lot of the definitions are around conflict, dispute, and this is where I think negotiation gets its bad rap, right? People think of negotiation and they think of conflict and hardship, and basically they think hostile. Okay, hostile negotiation, right? That's an actual phrase. Now, here's the thing about negotiation. In the most common sense, the fact of the matter is that yes, there is a conflict when there's negotiation, because if you were already in agreement and there was no conflict, you would have nothing to negotiate about, right? You're only having this back and forth because there is something of disagreement. But the fact that there's something of disagreement doesn't mean that it's a hostile or a conflicting or, a dispute of some kind. It just means that, hey, we don't agree on one or more items, and we're going to come together and we're going to discuss it. And so what I always have to remind my clients about is that this anxiety and the tension in the negotiation it's just like the tension in a rubber band. It exists. It's just there. And if a rubber band didn't have tension, it would cease to be a rubber band. It wouldn't be useful anymore. It would just lay there. So the tension is useful, and we shouldn't run away from it. It just means that we need to come together with that other party, the counterparty that you're negotiating with. You need to come together and form some kind of agreement. Nothing bad is happening. Okay, so who are you negotiating with? In a job search, you might think, well, I'm negotiating with the company, duh. Well, no, not really, actually. You are negotiating with the company, absolutely. But even within the company, you're negotiating with probably your prospective boss. That's usually the person that's leading the search. And then they have their counterpart in HR. You might be dealing with someone in HR. And then you might actually have an external recruiter who introduced you to this company in the first place, and they might be involved. And then you might have actually other companies, because you might be conducting a job search, where multiple companies are involved. Of course, you're not just going after one company. So there might be other companies that are involved that are interested in this negotiation that you have with the first company, because, they're trying to get you too. And so now there are all these people. Now there are 4 people involved, right? But then you also have your current employer. Maybe you're leaving somewhere else and they're interested because they don't want to lose you. And then finally, you've got your family, your significant other, your kids, or, anybody who has a say in, what you do, right? Anyone who has an opinion and who has a vested interest in where you're spending your time. So you can see that a job search negotiation is not just with one person. It's with an entire set of people, all of whom actually have their own agenda. Because your prospective boss just wants someone in that role. HR is trying to perhaps hold the line on costs, on salary. Your current employer wants to keep you. Your other prospective employers want to slow you down so that they have a chance to catch up and come to terms with their own offer. Your family might want you to take this new offer, might want you to stay where you are. You're going to hear a lot of conflicting things. So the point is that when you think about negotiation, just recognize that it's not necessarily just one party that's involved. And then, to make it even more complicated, you're not just negotiating about one issue. If we take the job search example again, you're not just negotiating on base salary. You might be negotiating on bonus, the upside, the downside. You might be negotiating on non-cash perks, benefits, tuition reimbursement, something like that. You might be negotiating for more vacation time or for more flexibility, so paid time off. You might be negotiating for timing, right? So when do you start? How long do I have to decide? When does such and such a benefit kick in? When does the tuition reimbursement kick in, or whatever? You might be negotiating for information. Remember how I said that in a job search, you're talking to multiple companies, and sometimes you're talking to one company and they've extended you an actual offer, but another company, you're still in the interview process and you're trying to figure out, am I at the end? Am I in the middle? Are you guys going to come with an offer, or should I take the one that I have? So you're going to be negotiating with them to get some information and some feedback out of them. So a simple negotiation is clearly then not so simple. Take another example. Let's talk about business development, because a lot of over 40 females are like myself and running their own business. And when you're a small business owner, not a prospective employer, but it's a prospective client, right? So you might be pitching to, whether it's a company or an individual, you might be pitching to them something, your services or a product that you have. And so, yes, you're dealing with them, but you're also dealing with their board. And I put board in air quotes because it, might be a company where the board has to sign off on them engaging you, or it might be an individual who has a de facto board of advisors, their spouse or significant other, their mentor, their best friend who needs to weigh in on every significant decision, right? So you might be negotiating with that. You might be negotiating with your business partner. I want to take this client and I'm willing to do this project at this price, at this scope, and your business partner is pushing back and saying, no, we've taken on too much, or you're discounting too much, or the price is too high, they're going to say no, right? And you have to negotiate with your business partner. You might have to negotiate with vendors or suppliers who are going to help you with this project. You might have to negotiate with current clients, maybe to slow down some work that you're doing for them because you want to take on some other project where there's going to be a tighter deadline. And you're going to have to, again, negotiate one against the other. And then finally, just like in the last example of a job search negotiation, let's say that you're pitching a piece of business that's going to, require some travel or require some long hours or require some change in your personal life. And you're going to have to negotiate with your significant other, with your family, with anyone who relies on you to say, I might take this on. So very similar to job search, lots of moving pieces. And of course, in business development, again, lots of moving pieces. It's not going to be base salary and bonus, but it's going to be your fee structure. It's going to be the upside. It's going to be the scope of the project. It's going to be the timing, the deadlines, the timelines, the check-ins, all of that. It's going to be resources. Are you going to get the resources you need, especially if you need something from your client or from the company to do a good job? You need data from them or you need their cooperation or something like that. So you're negotiating all the time and with a lot of moving pieces. So if that didn't convince you that negotiation is really something you need to pay attention to, I'm just going to review how the ability to negotiate impacts your long-term career and business, I should add. So your salary and or your fees, if you're in business for yourself, raises, bonuses, all of that upside that I talked about before, things like promotion, trajectory, the scope of your work, if it's a consulting-related, or business-related issue. So there are a number of things that you are negotiating in the long term. Work-life flexibility, that's both for small business owners and for people who work in careers. Your goals and expectations, yours personally, for what you want, for your personal development, your professional development, for your business, for your career, but then also for your client. What are their expectations? For your employer, what are their goals and expectations? And then finally, you're constantly negotiating relationships. How colleagues treat you, how vendors treat you, how clients and prospective clients treat you. So you're negotiating all of that. You're also negotiating in the day-to-day. So every single day you're also negotiating relationships, of course. Things as simple as who's making the decision on where to go for lunch. Things like what's your role on the team. That changes day-to-day. And by team, I mean both in-house, so if you are a traditional employee, or the team, the role that you're playing within your own company. Because let's face it, as a small business owner, even if you're a sole proprietor, you are absolutely working with other people. I can tell you right now, in the middle of doing my business taxes, I am working very closely with my CPA to figure out how to how to deal with my taxes this year. Everyone is probably dealing with that. So a number of issues are involved. So let's talk about then how to prepare for this. I said, okay, so we've covered what negotiation is, all of the moving parts, why it is so important. So let's get down to, okay, you've convinced me it's important. How am I supposed to deal with this? Well, negotiation is a three-part framework. It is not sitting down with the client and discussing price. That is absolutely one of three parts, okay? That's what I call the middle of the negotiation. You're already in the middle of the negotiation when you're talking about that kind of stuff. But there's a before that. Before you even talk to the client, before you even negotiate that offer, before you ask for that raise, before any of that stuff, you are preparing. There is something that happens before, and that's actually what I'm going to spend this presentation on. So obviously when I teach negotiation to individuals, or if I'm teaching a class at Columbia, or if I'm brought in by a company to teach negotiation to the staff, we're going to go through, you know, all sorts of scenarios, and we're going to go through the before, the middle, and the after, you know, but for the purposes of having a 25-minute tight phone call, we are going to talk about really the before, because that's really where it's won and lost. So you're preparing before, then you have the actual negotiation conversation, which is not the entire negotiation, but it is the conversation. And then there's an after. There's confirming and responding and moving forward based on whatever happened to that conversation. So it actually might lead to immediately another set of negotiations, if you think about it. You might have a conversation where the client says, you know, I'm really interested in hiring you, but my budget is really $5,000. I mean, I really can't do anything about that. And then the after piece is, okay, well, let's say this. We are going to take a look at all of the things that you've asked for, and I'm going to come back to you a week from now, and we're going to talk about, you know, what are some of the things that we can streamline. So there's going to be yet another set of negotiations. But that's still, for the purposes of this discussion, that's an after, because it's after you've had a negotiation conversation. So let's talk about how do you prepare. There are 7 steps to prepare for a successful negotiation. And I'm going to go through each of them, but I've listed them out on that slide. So if you think about the first step, it's basically build your case, okay? So this is something that's super important. You really want to know, you know, why are you asking the person to say yes? Can you make a specific case as to why they should give you what you want? You know, you don't get a raise just because, not in this economy, you don't get a raise just because you've been there, right? There needs to be some business case and some reason, okay? So that's the first thing you want to think about. Then you want to collect market data to support your case. So an example of a case might be, well, you know, I'm charging this kind of a fee to develop your website, which is in line with companies of your size and for what you're asking for. And so the market data in that case might be different, you know, projects that you've done, showing them the scope, showing them the work, showing them the fees, you know, like explaining this is what this costs, this is what is charged here, and being confident that, you know, you can name 3 or 4 competitors and who are charging in the ballpark. So I know, for example, in my own business, what other speakers are charging, what other corporate trainers are charging, what other career coaches are charging. And yes, there's a wide range, but for my target audience and demographic, I'm going to know kind of a much tighter range. Similar to salary data, you know, if you're trying to negotiate a raise or an offer, you might look at Glassdoor, pay scale. I've written down some options. So that's market data. Then the third step is to collect your own personal performance data. So these are your results. These are testimonials from happy website owners who now have a website that they absolutely love. These are those emails from your colleagues saying, you know, we couldn't have done this project without you. So this is your essential proof of your contribution, because that is basically how you are defining, you know, your value. It is how you're building your case, supporting your case, not just with market data, but with your own data. And, you know, don't assume that people know how much you're worth. You really have to tell them. And then finally, fourth, you want to research what you're up against, right? So you're preparing all of this stuff, but you also want to know, what's my client thinking? Do they have a budget for this project? This is why when I set up consultations with people, I ask people, how much have you invested in your career at this point, in your job search? How much have you invested in coaching? Because I want to know, is this someone who is used to paying for this type of service? Or am I going to have to educate them? If they say it's zero, it doesn't mean that I, will shy away from that or not take them on, but it just means that I know that I need to really explain perhaps and what my approach is going to be, what this is going to mean, because it's not going to be old hat for them. So you really need to know, what you're dealing with in terms of how educated your client is, how familiar they are with this type of program or service or product. And same thing with an employer. They might not know what's going on in the market. They might only know, and many of them only know, what their own budget is and what they're up against. And to the extent that you can find out, you can do your due diligence about what's in the budget, what's been planned for raises and growth and all of that, that is going to help you. Step 5, you want to brainstorm other positive outcomes. So you want to think about always a winning situation for you and for the other person, and it shouldn't only be what you go in thinking. So let's say that you normally will do this type of website development from start to finish for the $5,000. But the client, has $4,000. Does that mean all of a sudden you have to discount your price? No, there are a lot of different other positive outcomes. You can do a streamlined version of something. You can do, like a deposit, you can change the way that they're making their payments. Maybe it's $4,000 now because that's what their cash flow dictates. It's not what their desire dictates, and you can make something work for them. So there are a lot of things that people can do on the employment side. It could be something like, okay, so the base is what it is, but maybe there's bonus, maybe there's a spot bonus that you can give if there's no performance bonus. There are a lot of just creative things that you can think about, and you want to brainstorm these things in advance. This is why I'm talking about doing this as preparation, because this isn't an improv exercise. You don't want to be sitting there in the negotiation conversation and thinking on the fly about what else would be meaningful to you and what else might be meaningful to your client. And then, we're starting to get to like some of the more advanced things that you want to prepare. You want to prepare your leverage. Leverage is basically your ability to walk away. This is your ability to say no and your ability to stand your ground regarding this is what I'm asking for, this is what I deserve. All of the preparation in the world is not going to help you if in the moment that your employer or client pushes back at you, you crumble and say, I'll take it. You can only pay me $4,000, I'll take it, right? And one of the ways, very powerful ways that you can stand your ground is when you know you have other options. For a business owner, that means that you have other clients in the pipeline, other prospects, and you can say no to this one. It means you have cash in the bank so that you don't absolutely have to sell this. You can wait it out. You can let them think about it and get back to you, and you're going to hold the line on your price. So leverage means, again, you have options, and this is something you prepare in advance. So this isn't something that you sit in the negotiation conversation and start going through and saying, gosh, what would I do if they then said no? You wait for that. You need to prepare that in advance. And finally, run a dress rehearsal. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was working with a client, an over 40 female, not an over 40 female member, but she was a female over 40. And she was a very experienced negotiator in the sense that her career was in investment banking, so specifically raising money and raising funds for different investment vehicles. And then she migrated that to the nonprofit world, and she started actually raising money for foundations, family offices, and that was her specialty. So it was all about money. It was all about negotiation and talking large sums. And so she was going into negotiation where she was the perfect candidate. She knew someone on the board. They needed her. There was time sensitivity. And her salary was basically going to go from $200,000 to $300,000. So she's not an inexperienced woman. She's making good money as it is, but it's a 50% bump, and it's going to be a negotiation because they know what she's making, and she knows what they paid their predecessors. Of course, that was part of market data. And so I said, okay, Jane Doe, to protect the innocent. Okay, so Jane, why don't you play yourself in this role play, and I'm going to play John Doe, the board member that she's negotiating with. And I always insist that my clients do a role play with me, and I always do it on a recorded line so that they can hear it back with my commentary, and they're not going to push back and say, no, I wasn't mumbling, I wasn't talking too fast, I wasn't stuttering, I knew exactly what I was saying because they can hear it on the recorded line. So I said, okay, Jane, so what are you thinking about in terms of compensation? No, I didn't drop off the line. That is exactly what I heard in our role play. So all of a sudden, this master negotiator for everybody else goes silent. And she said, I'm sorry, I was not ready. Let's just go again. So I said, okay, great. So Jane, what are you thinking about in terms of compensation? Well, so what I have, right. So here we go. So we went through this several times until she played John Doe and I played Jane Doe. And I played her for a little bit so that she could just ease her way into it. And it was actually a good way for us to start because then she practiced being the person who pushes back and says no, and what would John Doe say no to. And so we did this role play for a little bit, and then she finally broke out of it and she got it. And then she got her negotiation, and she's got her salary, and she's making $300,000 with a big title bump, and it's a happy ending for everybody. But this just goes to show you that it is not about, it's just not about winging it in the negotiation. You really, really want to practice. Okay, so how do you practice helpful negotiation skills? I'm just going to give you like a few things to think about before we do all of the fun raffle prizes, I think, that Judy promised in the beginning of the call. If the phone was still muted at the time, I'm excited about the raffle prizes. So practice helpful negotiation skills. You want to practice asking, because basically that's what negotiation is. I would like this price. I would like this salary. I mean, it took her forever to just be able to say, based on what I'm seeing in the market and what you're asking for in this role and what I know I can deliver, my understanding is that a fair compensation for this role would be $300,000. Be able to say that. That's the first thing I actually do in my class at Columbia. I have everybody stand up, and then they partner up, and then I give them a salary, and I say, I want you to say this, just to get some words out of their mouth. You also want to practice framing requests in the business context, because I talked about collecting that personal performance data, collecting that market data. You really want to understand how business works, what impacts the bottom line, so you can talk about that. And for small business owners, that might be old hat because you're used to thinking about your business for yourself. But a lot of people, maybe they're in a different function. They're in recruiting or something. They're in operations. They're not thinking about the bottom line every day like a salesperson. So practice doing that. Practice empathy, taking the opposite point of view, because you need to be able to see what your counterparty sees. And you can do that every day. You can read an article and then think, okay, what if I had to argue the opposite point? And then finally, there is going to be anxiety in the negotiation. You have to know how to relax. You have to know when you get jumpy, when you get stressed. Do you lose your temper? Do you clam up? Do you start talking incessantly and stop listening? Like, you need to know what all your pressure points are and how you are able to control that. And those are things that you can absolutely be doing day in and day out. You don't have to wait till a high-stakes negotiation. So finally, I just want to leave you with, before we get to the fun raffle prizes, if you want to learn more about negotiation, I have a number of free resources on my site. So even on the homepage is actually the clip of me talking about negotiation with CBS. And then in the media page, there are clips of my TV appearances. I recently talked to Fox about negotiating from a salary of 0. So for people who are entering back into the workplace, your past most recent salary was zero. And so how do you get back to market value when, employers are going to be looking at that? So there are a number of free resources on there, newsletter, blogs, the videos. I have a radio show once a month where I answer people's specific questions, so you can email questions about all of that, all on the social media. I put the website on there. And then finally, if you want to go further than that and work with me one-on-one, I put my email there. You can email me for a complimentary phone consultation, 20 minutes to see if coaching is right for you and if coaching with me is right for you, because that is not always the case. So with that, Judy, are you ready to jump back in?
Thank you, Caroline. That was some great information we can take with us about negotiating. I didn't even think about it, that this different ways to negotiate are not just a higher salary. We negotiate almost every day of our life, in business and personal. So that was great info. Okay, now we are going to present two of our selected members who we chose to highlight today. Part of what Over 40 Females is all about is getting our members noticed. And we also promote you and your businesses all over our expansive social media. So our first member here is Shanita, and I'm going to murder this last name, Akintonde. That's probably French, and I don't know how to say it. But she is from Chicago. She's gorgeous. And it's all about me, motivating and educating women on how to lean back and roar, reject oppression, and reclaim respect. Okay, to find out more, you can go to Shanita Speaks. And her website is... Let's see, can't see her website there, but you can, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Who you're not to be. So obviously she is a coach, and you can find her at Shanita Speaks. She's from Chicago. Anyway, you can go into our profiles and connect with her. She's from our Chicago chapter. And the next member is Roseanne Filosa Atkins. She is from our Long Island Connect Live chapter, and she is from thedecorateddessert.com. She makes incredible baked goods. I've tasted some and seen them. They're like sculptures, those things. They're beautiful. So you can go in and connect with Roseanne from the Long Island chapter in the member search in our website. And she's at thedecorateddessert.com. I'm sure she ships a lot of her goods too. All right. Help us spread the word. We can move mountains the bigger we are. You know it. And the louder our voices will be heard. From building our businesses to philanthropic causes. If we're together all in one place, women over 40, you know we could be more powerful than ever. So a lot of you are getting our introductory rate, and that was a limited offer for a short time. So please help us build this network to incredible heights by referring a friend right through your profiles. Just go to quick links it's a quick links box at the bottom of your website page when you're signed in. Go to the command center and then scroll down to refer a friend. And we thank you for helping us create our own world for you and I, this demographic for women over the age of 40. Okay, our raffle winner is Charlie Hagan from our Fort Worth chapter. Charlie won Rita Cosby's book, Quiet Hero. And our second raffle winner is Carlita Belgrove from our Westchester, New York chapter. Carlita won a pair of looky-loos sunglasses. Reading glasses. Yes, looky-loos. All right. Excellent. Thank you for joining us once again for Ching, 7 Steps to Successful Negotiation. Next month, our speaker is a hypnotist. Nice. So that will make for a very fascinating event. Please stay tuned to your calendars for that event coming up, and have a great day. Remember, you can always email us with any questions. info@over40females.com. That's info@over40females.com. We are here for you. Thank you for being a member.